According to a new national survey from Discover Personal Loans, 80%, yes, 80% of American consumers are anxious about their financial situation. So joining us today is Dan Nicoli, Vice President of Discover Personal Loans, to share tips that may help alleviate those financial anxieties. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jordan.
Of course. That's a huge number to me, but which survey results did you find the most interesting or surprising?
Yeah, you mentioned it's a huge number. I think what's surprising is how consistent that number has been over the last 3 years. We really haven't seen a change in that number for the last 3 years. This year, the things that are driving the actual stress for consumers, the top of the list is inflation and also high everyday expenses. Two things that I think are very closely related and not at all surprising.
Right. And so what are some of the top misconceptions people have around managing debt specifically?
Yeah, the top misconception is that they can't do anything to improve their situation. So we heard from 1/3 of Americans saying they don't believe they'll ever get out of debt. And there's actually quite a bit that they can do to manage their situation. Everyone's probably aware that they may make progress with the budget, but they might not realize that they can actually reduce the cost of their debt by lowering their interest rate with a personal loan.
Okay, and let's get to those tips that I promised everyone that you had for us. So what are your tips for people who are feeling that financial stress or anxiety, or even avoiding looking at their bank accounts?
Yeah, the first tip is to take a deep breath and realize that there is something they can conquer. They have to have a budget, which is not something that everybody looks forward to doing, but you have to sit down with pencil and paper, make sure you have a good understanding of where all of your money is going. Try to find some money that you can allocate towards an emergency fund if you don't have debt. And if you do have debt, try to find some money that you can allocate towards that debt. And as I mentioned, you want to take proactive measures to reduce the interest rate on your debt so that your payments go further and you can get out of debt faster.
Right. And what type of loans usually work best for big expenses, whether they're planned or unplanned?
Yeah, so life comes at you when you least expect it. Your water heater can go out at any minute. Ideally, you'll have saved up an emergency fund, but that's not always practical. And so there are some loan options that consumers should be aware of. A personal loan is a type of loan that might not be at the top of everybody's list, but it's a great option because you can get, with a Discover personal loan, up to $40,000, and that is money that is distributed in a fixed interest rate, and you pay it back in equal monthly installments. You can find out if you qualify without any impact to your credit score, and so that's another reason that makes a personal loan quite attractive.
Yeah, that's nice. What are some of the top factors to consider when choosing a personal loan provider?
So of course you want to have as competitive of an interest rate as possible, but it's also important to choose a personal loan that comes with no origination fee. An origination fee would actually reduce the amount of the loan that would end up in your pocket. So for example, if you took a personal loan for $20,000 but had an origination fee on top of that, you might only receive $18,000, but you'd be tasked with paying back the full $20,000 and pay interest on that full $20,000. So you want to look for a personal loan where you would not have an origination fee, and Discover Personal Loans is proud to offer such a product.
Yeah, that sounds great. So where can folks get more information?
They can find out a lot more about how to manage their personal financial situation, learn about our products, see if they qualify at discoverpersonalloans.com. We're here to help them in any way possible.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us all about it.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.